Hello. Well, what you're about to hear is the oldest item that I still own from my childhood. The thing that I was given when I was very small, and I've held on to for many, 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 many years. And it's a audio adaptation of H.G. Wells's The War of the Worlds on record, and it was produced by Bell Records. And this one, the War of the Worlds version, came out in 1966, and it was part of their High Camp Adventure series. Other things that they produced, other adaptations they did, were The Invisible Man, First Men in the Moon, Around the World in 80 Days, and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Okay, now I don't know if I got this as a birthday present or if it was a Christmas present or what, but I do know that I was very small. I'll come back to that in a minute. And it's a rare occasion in that I know exactly where my mum bought it from in our local town. There was a haberdashery store, where you could go in and buy all your material for your curtains and your sheets, and etc., etc. And I can clearly remember upstairs, amongst all the other stuff they had up there, there was one of those. If you're a certain age, you'll remember when comic books weren't on shelves; they were in racks. They were in turn-in racks, weren't they? And I can clearly remember these High Camp Adventure records being for sale. So I'm pretty darn sure my mum got me this from there. All right, and yeah, I got this when I was very small, and I know it's very small because another memory that I've got to do with this record is that I took it to school one day, and I must have been about, 7 or 8, and it was one of those things you usually get around Christmas time or at the end just before the summer holidays, where everyone can bring in something and show it off. And I brought it in, and the teacher played it. And Golden Bennett, I'm pretty old now, so I'm remembering a long time back, but I can remember it, and I can remember it was in a mobile. My little primary school had these like mobile classrooms, and it was in there, and and I can remember just the children being stunned at the end of it, and the teacher going, "Well, well, thank you, Eric. That was interesting," sort of reaction, and in a second you're going to hear it, I cannot under or overstate. Put it that way. I can't overstate what an impact this record had on me. I think this is the thing. Up until I think I got this, maybe I was aware of the. I don't remember watching them when I was very, very small, but the Jerry Anderson shows. So I'd been exposed to science fiction by then. I was exposed to comics. Superhero comics, I had all that, but I think this is the first time that I was exposed to anything that scared the crap out of me, and it did scare the crap out of me. You'll hear it for yourself in a sec, as I say, but imagine the little 7-year-old, or whatever I was, listening to this for the first time. If you're a fan of War of the Worlds, if you've seen the films, if you've read the book, you've listened to the Jeff Wayne version, this is quite an oddity. This record, it was clearly made in America. The voice actors are all American, but it is set in the last days of the 19th century, so that's accurate. It doesn't actually say that it's set in England nor America. We have mentions of the capital, but they don't mention what the capital is. There is a line about the town of Ipswich is over there, which Ipswich is nowhere in the southeast of England. You don't go. They're quite accurate. They say the capital. They don't say London. They say the capital is 50 miles away, which is a bit too far. It's about 25 miles. Woking is about 25 miles from London. But yeah, Ipswich is not between Woking and London. That's much too further north. So yeah, as I say, it's an oddity. But the thing that I just listened to this record over and over again, right the way through my childhood, up through my teens and into my 20s, and then it was put away into a cupboard until technology came around and I could actually record records and convert them into an MP3 file, which I did years ago with this. But yeah, it's jarring. You listen to it, and it's very interesting. You know, the liberties that they've taken. The narrator isn't the narrator. He's a man called Smith. Ogilvy survives right through to the end. You have a artilleryman just called a sergeant. You have a young boy. So it's interesting, and they reach the sea and they see ships, dozens of wrecked ships, and there's a cave for them to hide in. These are all liberties taken with the book. But I tell you what, even though this was a record for children, it's jarring that the sound effects that they use are absolutely fantastic. The rattling of chains, that I think they've used the rattling of chains for the unscrewing of the cylinder, the really loud clanking of the hatch being undone. These are all real world sounds, but they've been used brilliantly. The firing of the heat ray sounds like something from Flash Gordon. It's some carbon arc thing firing up, I think. But you know, the sound of the tripods is fantastic. The especially the death call of the Martians is fantastic. There's no oolah or alu if you're reading the book, and it all makes for a fantastic telling of the tale in 45 minutes, would you believe? The whole thing just lasts 45 minutes. So I adored it. I absolutely adored it. I adored it, but I was unsettled by it when I was little, you know. And I listen to it now, and yeah, I'm that little 7-year-old. Also, the image here on YouTube, you know, that the cover by Wally Wood, I used to just study that over and over again. Yeah, so here we go. You're going to have to please forgive all the crackling and popping and rustling that's on the record. As I say, I played this over and over to begin with on my my parents' radiogram, and then on my own record player when I had one. You know, so please forgive that. It's very old. It's nearly as old as me. I could filter out the crackles and the pops, but I think we might lose a bit of the sound quality of the decent stuff. So here we go. Strap yourselves in. 45 minutes long, not much of your time. And as you listen to it, try and imagine yourself as a 7-year-old listening to it, and let me know what you thought. Either here below in the comments section, or as I've said on my War of the Worlds walk in Woking, I've got a Facebook page, The War of the Worlds. Let me know what you think of it. Yeah, so strap yourselves in. Here we go.
Just a moment. Coming.
Good evening. Professor Ogilvy?
Yes. Mr. Smith, the reporter from the newspaper? Please come in. That chair by my desk. Please be seated.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Well, Mr. Smith, your newspaper has sent you to interview me about these alleged comets, these shooting stars, as the paper so fancifully call them.
Yes, Professor. My editor was advised that your observatory here at Leek is among the best equipped in the world, and that you are one of the world's most noted astronomers, specializing in the phenomenon of comets.
Oh, you flatter both me and the observatory, young man.
Professor, these comets, as you know, there have been several respected astronomers who have issued statements that they think these things are not comets at all, that they might represent some sort of interplanetary artillery fire.
Yes, and the tales make fine headlines in the news. The famous bombardment from the planet Mars theories. No, I won't say my various scientific colleagues are wrong. Anything's possible in this incredible universe of ours. But bombardment from Mars? Well, no. In my opinion, there's a more plausible explanation. I admit those strange flying objects are not comets. Personally, I think they represent a new type of cosmic debris. Debris from a series of gigantic gaseous explosions that occurred on the surface of Mars a little over 2 years ago in 1894. The first which I observed took place precisely at 11:32 p.m. on the night of June 12th, 1894.
2 years and 2 months ago. Professor, how many explosions did you personally see?
Well, the French astronomer Laval has reported that he saw 12. I saw only 10, one each night for 10 nights in a row.
Could not the very regularity of occurrence show, as Laval has stated, that the explosions were purposely set off like the firing of huge cannons?
Cannons, Mr. Smith, would mean that there is life of some sort on Mars. And most astronomers, like myself, doubt that that's true.
But astronomy teaches that Mars has water, an atmosphere of air, almost everything needed to support life of a sort.
True, but, well, Mars is a troubled planet. We astronomers have long thought that the Martian atmosphere is dying. While Mars is only about 40 million miles from the Earth, it's over 140 million miles from the Sun. It receives less than half the light and heat that we do here on Earth. According to the best theories, Mars is millions of years older than our planet. And in those years, Mars has gone through a vast cooling-off process, one far in advance of a similar and gradual process, which one day, millenniums from now, will also leave Earth a dead, frozen planet. That's the normal evolution cycle of most planets.
But once then, there could have been life on Mars. And could not that life have adapted to the changes slowly over a period of millions of years?
Adapted? Oh, yes, again, I must admit anything is possible. But the chances as we know them would be at least a million to one against that. Mr. Smith, frankly, we scientists know a great deal. And yet, really, we know very little about our heavenly neighbors, life on other planets. We'll never really know about that until one day we here on Earth develop ships which can fly up there in outer space to study and perhaps even land on those planets.
You're sounding like those science fiction writers. Well, I personally am as wary of such ideas as I am of the theory of Martian guns. Do you truly believe that man will ever be able to develop ships which can fly into space?
No, in this year of 1896, that does sound far-fetched, doesn't it? But, my boy, 4 years from now, the brave new 20th century will dawn. And it will be a magnificent century, boasting scientific advances of which the world we know now can only dream.
Professor, I'm afraid my editor is conservative, and he'll throw me out of the office if I return with anything but facts. We'd better get back to the matter I came to interview you about. These objects flying out there in space, are they very near the Earth now?
Yes, quite near. We here at the observatory have had difficulty tracking their speed properly. But the objects should reach Earth's atmosphere, according to my calculations, within a week.
Is there danger to the Earth from these objects?
Mr. Smith, there's always danger to our planet from cosmic and astral debris. Meteorites manage to hit the Earth every year, month, week. But most meteorites begin to burn out when they hit the Earth's outer atmosphere hundreds of miles up. And then they burn out completely before they reach out.
You think that these objects from Mars will burn out?
Hard to say. I think they will. Others, like Laval, think they might actually reach Earth in some solid form. But would you like to see these objects for yourself through the telescope?
Yes, sir, very much. But I have other questions.
Fine, you can ask them as we stroll along to the observatory.
the telephone. Will you get it?
Right, Mary. Hello?
Mr. Smith,
Yes?
this is Professor Ogilvy. I phoned as I promised I would once I had word. The week is up. One of those flying objects from Mars did get through the atmosphere. It crashed a few minutes ago near the town of Woking. I thought you might want to help me examine it.
Was it the object that caused that strange green light in the sky a few minutes ago?
Yes, it was like a thin line of green flame that streaked across the horizon for several seconds at an incredible speed.
With luck, I can reach Woking by horse and buggy in 2 hours.
Fine, my trip will take me almost that long. There's a crossroad a mile north of the town. We'll meet there.
Right. Thank you. See you there. Mary, that was Professor Ogilvy. One of those Martian things I've been writing about has just crashed near Woking. I'm going to meet him there.
Jerry, must you go? Will there be danger?
Danger? From a fallen meteorite or whatever? No, I don't think so, dear. Besides, think of the story. Sorry you married a reporter?
No, darling. But well, can I get you anything before?
Just my jacket here is all I'll need. It's warm tonight. Now, you go to bed early tonight. Kiss before I go?
Yes, darling. Please be careful.
Right, dear. Bye. Professor, there you are. You made better time than I did.
Yes, Smith, you can tie your buggy over there next to mine. The Martian debris is over there behind that hill.
Right. There. The horse is secured. That red glow. Is that from it?
Yes, I was already to the top of the hill. Come along, I'll explain as we climb. Only a few people have arrived here thus far. Just as well, too, that red glow is from heat. The debris must have reached a phenomenal temperature while passing through the atmosphere.
What does it look like?
Hard to say as yet. It set several brush fires, and the smoke was still thick when I was up here before. From what I could see, the debris itself is the largest from outer space ever to reach Earth. The object must be at least 90 feet around and about 10 times larger than any meteorite yet found. The hole or crater it tore opens at least 300 feet across, perhaps 50 feet deep. But you'll see it in a second now. That rock ledge just ahead's a good point from which to watch it.
Good heavens. It is enormous, isn't it?
Yes. And now that the smoke has cleared somewhat, I must say that it looks very strange indeed. Well, that's no simple cosmic debris, Smith. The shape, it's too smooth and perfect.
Yes, it is clean-lined, isn't it?
Yes.
Like a perfect cylinder.
And a cylinder which seems to have been forged in metal.
Listen. Those clanking noises which just started. Inside it.
Or maybe not inside. It could be the sounds of the metal contracting as the thing cools further.
Oh, look, there's a soldier coming this way.
You there, you two. You'll have to clear off this hill. That thing might be dangerous.
Yes, Sergeant, I know. That's one reason why I'm here.
Who are you, gentlemen?
I'm an astronomer, Professor Ogilvy from Leak Observatory. And this is Mr. Smith, a reporter from the Chronicle.
Well, gentlemen, I'll still have to order you off this hill. The Army has orders to seal off this area until that thing cools off and is safe.
Young man, I'm an expert on such things.
Well, sir, if you want permission to stay around here, you'll have to see my captain. He's set up at the post command down at the...
Quiet, quiet. Listen. Those metallic sounds. They're getting louder now.
And they are coming from inside.
The top there. Something unscrewing. Like a cat.
It is unscrewing, like a hatch. Smith, this could be a ship from Mars.
A ship from Mars? Are you crazy?
Sergeant, that unscrewing top, it's quite clear now. That is a hatch. The cylinder is a spaceship. And the fact the hatch is opening means that there's someone or something alive inside it. Oh, my Lord, the poor devil's probably roasting alive.
The top is off. It's falling into the pit. Can
can we help who's ever inside?
The heat, man, still too intense to get near it.
Professor, what is that crawling out of the hatch?
It looks like an octopus arm.
Yes, a long, snake-like tentacle like that of an octopus.
There's another tentacle.
And a third.
Its body's coming up now. Good Lord! It does look like an octopus. 8 tentacles supporting a huge head.
He's about the size of a grizzly bear.
Green things. Those must be the eyes.
Yes, and it has a mouth, too. It's drooling and panting.
Well, how can it stand the heat?
It's almost out of the ship now.
It's moving so heavily, so sluggishly. Probably our air on Earth is wrong for its lungs, and our gravity's too heavy for it.
But the heat doesn't seem to be burning it.
It must be immune to heat. It would have been dead by now if it wasn't.
It's falling.
Toppled into the pit. It's sure to burn now.
There's another tentacle coming out of the hatch.
And another. Another head.
Now's the time to get out of here.
Wait. That crowd forming over there on that hill. Look at them. They're climbing down toward the crater.
Why doesn't that fool captain stop them? He has orders to...
Come along. Let's get out of here, quick.
Sergeant, come along.
I can't leave. Duty, sir. I have to stay.
Don't be foolhardy. Until we know what those Martian animals are, we'd be safer away from this hill.
I can't go, Professor, but if you can get to the captain, tell him...
Look, there's another one of them coming out of the ship.
What's that metal pole that's rising from the pit?
That looks like something like a rifle barrel at the end of the pole there.
Is some sort of weapon.
And it's aiming toward that hill, toward that crowd.
Oh, Lord, that jet of flame. The gun shoots fire.
The crowd enveloped in flame. Wiped out. That's a heat gun. No wonder the Martians didn't perish in their ship. Heat is their weapon. They are immune to it.
The gun is turning toward us. It's aiming at us. Run! Fast!
Mary, open up in heaven's name, hurry!
Coming, Jerry. Jerry, you look terrible. Your eyes so frightened. Your suit.
Has word of them reached you yet?
Word? Them? What are you talking about?
Spaceship from Mars. The Martians.
Martians? Jerry, are you...
Mad? No, I saw it with my own eyes. I met Ogilvy. One of the things he thought last week was cosmic debris. It was really a ship. A spaceship from the planet Mars. And there were things alive in it.
Things alive?
Yes, Martians. Some sort of reptile-like animal from Mars. And those terrifying things. They have a gun that can burn a man up in a great flare of fire within seconds. What's worse, if Ogilvy is right, all those other explosions on Mars 2 years ago mean that other ships are on their way. Almost as if the Martians were carrying out a planned invasion of the Earth.
Invasion? Oh, Jerry, you better sit down.
No time to sit now. We must get away from this area. I lost Ogilvy back there somewhere in the confusion, but I managed to get our horse in the buggy. As I raced here, the Martians began shooting into the fields around them at long range. All around me for at least 3 miles, fires sprang up in the brush and forests. I saw perhaps 20 people killed back there. Wherever the news is spread, there's panic.
What about the army?
Oh, they'll probably bring up heavy artillery as soon as they can. But meanwhile, we'd better get away from here. The Martians are still in that pit. Ogilvy thinks that our Earth gravity makes them too heavy to climb out. But if they do get out, they're only a few miles from here. I must get you to your brother in the city where you'll be safe until these monsters are wiped out. Now you pack a few things. Just what you need.
Who could that be?
Open up, it's Ogilvy.
Professor, thank God you're all right.
A neighbor directed me to your house. Oh, excuse me, Mrs. Smith?
Yes, my wife. Mary, this is Professor Ogilvy.
Please come in, Professor.
No time for that. I don't think we have any time to spare. Some of the Martians are out of the pit.
Oh, no. How?
I didn't see it with my own eyes, but an army officer I met on the way had a report that the Martians had erected some sort of machine, or several machines, to carry their heavy bodies. He said that the machine carried them out of the pit, and they're spreading through the countryside. Smith, my buggy broke down a half-mile back. Can I come with you?
Certainly, Professor. I'm taking my wife to Northfield, to her brother's.
Good. Mrs. Smith, don't trouble to take anything. Just get a shawl. We must get out of this area.
My wife's brother lives near that street over there, Professor. If we can drop her off first, I'll take you to the town hall.
Thank God we made the city.
Here we are, Mary. You'll be all right now? Your brother's house is only a half a block down that street.
Must you go? I'm so frightened.
Yes, I must help the professor. And I must get to the paper. I'll be back soon.
All right. Be careful. Oh, Jerry, I love you.
I love you, too. Kiss me. That's my Mary. Now, quick. We have to get along.
Goodbye, Professor.
Goodbye, Mrs. Smith. He'll be all right.
Oh, Jerry, be careful.
Right. Goodbye, Mary.
Smith, I didn't want to say anything back there. I must get to the capital.
But that's 50 miles away.
Yes, I didn't want your wife to know. There are no trains direct from this city, or I'd go that way. I must get to the capital. That's where my knowledge and help against this Martian invasion is needed most desperately. Will you drive me? It's urgent.
Well, I should. No, I guess you're right, Professor. However, have you told me everything you know?
Yes, Smith, I have. The Martians were immune to heat. According to reports we picked up along our way here, they're out of the pit and marauding through the countryside in machines which seem to allow their bodies to function against the severe gravitational pull of Earth. Unfortunately, we've heard so many different rumors. I will only get accurate information from the government in the capital. The intelligence which could have built and flown that spaceship is far in advance of our own knowledge. And that heat gun, the marauding machines.
Yes, and the fact that there are more ships and more Martians probably on the way.
Yes.
You'll be needed in the capital. I'll get you there, Professor.
Thank you, Smith.
We've been on our way 3 hours now, Professor. Should hit another main highway soon.
Smith, look there. The sky to the east. A flash of fire.
Explosions. The town of Ipswich is over that way.
The sky over there lighting up. The town must be on fire. The Martians must have already got this far, ravaging as they went.
Professor, my wife. We must go back.
Steady, Smith. The army will either defend the city or evacuate the civilians. But I don't like that approaching rumble. That rumble is something like the sound of a huge machine. It's coming this way. Quick, down from the buggy.
But, Professor...
But nothing. Do as I say. Unhitch the horse. Let it loose. At least it might get away.
Yes, but...
Do as I say. Hurry. Now, Smith, that stream over there. Head for that. If the Martians set fires, the water might protect us. Out of breath, but we've made the stream. Those rocks, let's get behind them.
Professor, there on the hilltop, silhouetted against the sky.
One of the Martian machines. A huge tripod. 3 metal legs topped by a tank like that cabin. The Martians must be able to operate without suffering the pull of Earth's gravity. Inside it, their superior brains can operate easily.
But the tripod is taller than several houses. Its legs can crush even those tall pine trees.
Coming out of the cabin now. Metallic tentacles. Metal arms shaped like their own. The Martians do operate from within that cabin.
And there in the nose, one of those heat rays just thrust out. Let's get out of here.
Easy, Smith. We're safer in this water behind these rocks. It hasn't spotted us. It'll pass.
But its size, it's colossal. Do you think our army can...
Smith, it's aiming the heat gun. See that house on the hill about a mile from the machine? Watch.
Oh, a direct hit. And from a mile away. Terrified.
Smith, it's turning. I think somehow it senses we're here. Water or no, we must run. We're far enough away. We might make it. Run!
Professor, there's a cave over there. Head for that. Cave for over 24 hours, trapped like animals. What do you propose to do?
Do, Smith? Hard to say. Those machines will probably only stay in this area a while longer, and then they'll go on to destroy more.
Oh, dear Lord. I wonder what's happened to Mary and her brother.
The government's probably brought up troops. They might have found a way.
Are you mad, Professor? Simple cannons against those machines? That heat gun? No, they wouldn't have a chance.
Quiet. There, at the mouth of the cave. Sounds.
I can just see outside. It's all right. It's a soldier and a boy. Hurry, let's help. Soldier, here. There's a cave. Who's there?
It's all right. We're men, too. Get in here, both of you.
It's all right, son. Come along. Thank you, sir.
Why, it's the sergeant from the crater where the Martian ship fell.
I recognize you too now. You were at the crater when they got out of the ship, the professor and the reporter.
Right, Sergeant. Is the boy all right? How are you, son?
Tired, sir, that's all.
Oh, he's all right. Pretty brave lad, too, for a 16-year-old. He's a clever one. Half the time it was him who got us through the patrols of those killer machines.
But how did you get here? They've been all around us for a day.
Well, they're passed on from this area now. They seem to rendezvous in a body about an hour ago on a plane marching en masse toward the capital.
The capital?
Yes. They've destroyed every town and city for about 30 miles round.
Oh, dear God. Mary!
She might still have gotten away in time, Smith. What else, Sergeant?
Well, there's no stopping them. Back there at the crater where we were that first night, after we all ran down from the hill, I found the boy. We hid behind rocks on another hill for a while. Then more troops came up.
Yes?
The boy and I began to climb down to join them. They had the heaviest of artillery, but before we got far, those Martian things got their fire gun in action. It was like a taste of doomsday. In 3 seconds, 4 batteries of heavy cannon were burned to a crisp by the fire. Just vanished into smoke. The boy and I crawled into a hollow. Then the army ammunition supply exploded, and finally there was a lull. The Martian gun disappeared, and sounds of hammering and building came up out of the pit. We ran fast, looked for the boy's house for a while, but by the time we got there, the gun had been in long-range action. His house was gone, burnt up.
And the Martians built their machines fast. It must have taken superhuman effort for them to work so hard in resistance to our gravity. However, the machines must have been ready-made for assembly.
But the machines are gone from here now, sir. They just destroy things with the fire and go on someplace else.
Sergeant, you say that the Martian machines mustered forces? How many are there?
The boy and I must have seen at least 40 in the past 24 hours.
40? But it's impossible. 40 for one spaceship.
But there's been more than one ship, sir.
Trapped back in the valley there last night, the boy and I saw at least 7 more land.
Smith, those other explosions I observed 2 years ago were other spaceship launchings. This is an invasion. A planned invasion from Mars.
Sir, I think we should move on to the capital.
But surely they'll attempt to destroy the capital the first thing.
Attempt, but if there's a defense to be made, it'll be made there. We can follow them, the machines. Once they've gone over a stretch of land destroying things, they're through with it. Besides, the cliffs along the coast are full of cover.
You're probably right. Well, gentlemen, son, Shall we be on our way? You were wise to suggest this approach to the capital, along these cliffs by the sea, Sergeant.
Yes, sir. I reasoned that with so little settlement up here on these cliffs, the machines would leave it alone. And if I remember the stretch of moorland right, we'll get a first glimpse of the capital over that next rise. Then it's about 2 miles downhill to the outskirts of the city. Hey, boy, don't get too far ahead.
But Sergeant, look! Come quick! I can see the harbor. There are ships, wrecks, dozens of wrecked ships.
Good Lord. The tripods have been here already. The capital harbor is littered with burned-out ships. Their steel hulls so twisted and melted.
But look farther on. City in ruins.
Toward the north there, still smoking the ruins of the Capitol building.
They did a good job here, the Martians. The army must not have been able to put up much of a defense.
Entire metropolis wiped out. Probably thousands of people killed.
Some of the populace might have been evacuated.
Mary, I must get back to her.
Smith, I've told you. If she and her brother did get out, they moved in front of the Martian sweep. And the Martians are still somewhere up ahead of us. Ahead of us and the ruined capital. We must go on in the direction we've been going for the last week.
Oh, how long can we keep this up? Hiding hours on end? Waiting for the Martian machines to move on? Living on raw vegetables from the fields they didn't burn up? We've been 8 days coming only about 20 miles.
Easy, sir. The professor is right. I think ahead is still the only way for us.
All right. Let's move on then.
Right. Now, son, I want you to stick with us. Stop getting ahead.
Yes, sir. I'll stick closer now.
Good. Shall we start climbing down to the ruins?
To think a week ago these ruins were the buildings of one of the greatest cities on earth. The capital of a great nation.
That great heap of ash and broken stone ahead. I think that was the Hall of Justice building.
The Martian fires were pretty thorough. The ash is still smoking in places. But there are some buildings which seem fairly undamaged and intact.
The boy, get him back. Those bodies down that street, he shouldn't see such things.
It's all right, sir. I've already seen it. And almost as bad. Already. Back there.
I think we should try to find food in one of those houses that are still pretty much untouched by the fire.
Look! There's a man. Over there. Coming this way.
He's dressed like a minister or a priest.
Poor man, he doesn't seem to see us. He looks dazed, shocked.
But he's still coming toward us.
Are you all right, sir?
Yes, I survived. I was knocked unconscious by some falling beam in the parsonage. It didn't burn, but my church is in ashes. Oh, I must have been unconscious for hours. Oh, the city was swept by those machines, those awful creatures everywhere. The earth has been given over to them. Man is lost.
Easy, Reverend. It's the shock. You'll be all right.
Whose mind could stand this desolation, this destruction? Thousands killed, great cities in ruins.
Quick! Up there in that park on the hill. A tripod just moving into view. A Martian returning.
That house there, let's get inside. It's not too badly damaged. It's 12 hours now that Martian tripod has been patrolling this neighborhood.
Yes, Sergeant, but we might still be safe here in this cellar.
Until it goes away.
You mean if it goes away? Boy, open the door a crack again and see if there's daylight up there yet.
Yes, sir. The sun's just coming up, but there's that rumble of that machine again close by.
God must have sent us them as our final judgment.
The minister has fainted.
No, Smith. He's dead. His heart finally gave out. He was through more than we've been. His mind had taken too much.
The machine! It stopped outside the house!
Get back away from that door now. There was a rock.
Wait, boy. Let me have a look up the stairwell. It senses we're here. A tentacle is reaching through the room above toward the stair to this cellar.
Professor, does it hear us?
No, I don't think the Martians hear things at all. They seem to sense things. Wait! Quick, the tentacle is hovering at the top of the stair. Over there! Get into that far corner. Bring the minister's body. Quick!
It's behind the door now. Are you sure it can't hear us?
I can't be sure, but it does sense us, that we're here.
The knob on the door. It's turning.
The door's opening!
Down, everyone. Flat on the floor. Close together. Don't move. Perhaps the tentacle won't reach us.
It's feeling its way toward us.
Easy. Even if it touches you, don't move.
Oh, it's moving towards the boy. Steady, lad.
Yes.
But the tentacle has reached the tip of his shoes.
Steady, boy. You mustn't move. Steady. Don't move a muscle.
Easy, boy, easy.
It's retreating. It's drawing away again. Towards the stairs.
It's gone. It doesn't hear.
The boy. He's passed out.
The boy's gone into a state of shock. Your coats, cover him. We must keep again and try to barricade it.
Right.
Feeling better, son?
Yes, thank you, sir. Just that I feel the chills.
You'll be all right, son. I just wish we could get something warm inside you.
That wailing sound up there from the Martians. It's been going on exactly 8 hours now by my watch.
Yes, and it's 9 hours since it's attacked our cellar.
And you still haven't figured out what the wailing could be, Professor?
Me? No, I haven't figured it out. This whole series of events is now beyond any knowledge I possess. Beyond the worst nightmares my mind could ever have conjured up. Once, like most scientists, I was cocksure of the scheme of life, of ordered patterns, of the slow, steady acquisition of knowledge. But men on Earth possess puny brains compared to that Martian up there.
That wailing must mean something. They never did that before.
Means something. A victory celebration, perhaps. Gentlemen, the Martians have conquered, and we must face it. Our capital city lies destroyed, along with Lord only knows how many other towns and cities. Thousands of people killed. Perhaps our whole nation is ravaged by now. The Martians, from all evidence, have swept aside even the most modern defenses we possess. From our country, they could push on to other countries and other continents. Our country will be the springboard to their domination of the world, the whole of the earth itself. The superhuman intelligence which built and flew those spaceships, that conceived those tripods and guns, there's nothing that it couldn't do. Remember, Smith, I told you when we first met, Mars is a troubled planet. Its atmosphere is dying. Life there has adapted, but it cannot adapt to the eventual death of its planet past a certain point. The Martians have sent this force to see if their destruction of human life on Earth can succeed.
But according to what you saw of the explosions 2 years ago on Mars, the explosions we now know were the firing into space of the Martian ships. Perhaps only 12 ships have invaded the Earth. And you yourself said 2 days ago that you thought each ship could hold only at most 12 Martians and 12 of their machines.
Yes, I still think that. But even those few have already been enough to cause the fantastic havoc and destruction and death which we have seen.
Then we can't still get away, sir?
For your sake, son, we're going to try. If that thing up there ever moves. But you, like the others, should know what I think we'll face if we get out of here. Even if that machine up there and the others move on. Even if they start their move on to other nations, a move around the world, it still is ended with humanity. The men of Earth have been beaten. This is no simple war. Unless two sides can fight, seem to be able to fight them for a war, then there would be war between men and ants. The ants, splendidly intelligent creatures, build intricate cities, live out their lives, have their own type of wars, even rebellions within their hills. But then men come along and decide to destroy that hill, that little world of the ants. And sometimes simply with a stick, sometimes with his foot, man does. In this case, we are the ants and the Martians are the men.
Will the Martians ever show us mercy? Do you think they'll spare some of us?
From what I've seen, I doubt it. If they follow their pattern, they'll destroy every human being they encounter, and all our weapons, our cities, our ships, our railways. Inevitably, some men will hide and live for a while. Perhaps the Martians will need slave labor in their newly conquered Earth. At that point, they would begin catching us, picking out the strongest of us to keep, and killing the rest. For a while, we who survive free would try to hang on, living in cellars and in caves. But if the Martians don't want us, they'll hunt us out. We'll be like ants in anthills that the huge Martian machines can crush at will beneath those huge and awful metal legs. Yes, Mars is a dying planet. But our Earth will be the new home of the Martians. The Earth we knew.
Listen, everyone! The wailing has stopped!
The door. I'm going up to see.
Careful.
Keep back till I can see something. It's all right. Come up. The tripod is here all right, but the Martian, it's hanging out of the cabin. It's dead.
It does seem... it is dead.
And up there in that park, on the hill, another machine.
Yes, there's another of the Martians hanging half out of the cabin.
Dead, too. Professor, what did the men?
Yes, Professor. What killed these Martians?
Did they become sick, sir?
Well, the boy is pretty near to it. I'm almost positive that is it. The Martians became ill with some lethal disease. That wailing of theirs was pain, their death agonies. Gentlemen, weapons were no good against them, and yet they were slain. And slain, after all, of man's devices had failed. My God in his wisdom has put upon were slain by bacteria, germs, disease bacteria against which their foreign bodily systems were unprepared.
The disease. Is it from the putrefaction? The rotting of the dead will affect us.
No, those bodies must be cleared away and buried. We must watch ourselves, boil the water we drink. Diseases harmful to us will soon start. But the disease that's overtaken these Germs of disease teem in the earth around us, killing men since the time. But to many other germs, by virtue of natural selection, we've developed certain resisting powers. I was a fool not to think of it before in the confusion of these horrible weeks. The atmosphere on Mars is such that it probably would not support bacteria and germs, at least of the type we have on Earth. The moment the Martians landed, wise as they were, strong as they were irrevocably doomed to die. The very moment they left their spaceship, our microscopic allies began their deadly work, and the overthrow of the Martians through disease. Through the toll of 1 billion human deaths from the diseases of all time, man has bought his birthright in the earth. And that birthright is his against all comers. It will still be his were the Martians 10 times as mighty as they are, for neither do men live nor die in vain.
Does this mean those other Martians off to the north and down to the south have died too?
Yes, Sergeant, without doubt. None could survive too much longer than these here. That body there is already beginning to rot. The Martian torment is over.
Look! Down there! Down the hill, toward the outskirts. A cloud of dust on the road.
Dust. And a crowd of people.
Refugees. The survivors are returning.
The Martian invaders are dead, and the thousands who fled, who got away, are returning.
Oh, perhaps Mary is alive. Perhaps she's among them.
Oh, God help you, Smith. She might be elsewhere with other bands.
My mother and father, sir. Do you think that they...
For now, we can only pray that they too got away, son. But it'll be all right. Smith, the sergeant, and I will see you're taken care of. I hope you're going to see a new world come out of this Martian invasion. I hope you're going to see mankind joining together, forgetting petty wars and differences. We know there are bigger dangers now, common dangers that affect all men. Then we're going to have to unite and help each other. I can only hope that men not only here in our own battered and ravaged country, but in every land in the world will now understand that men joined together as you and Smith and the sergeant and I have been, that men banded together can survive and live, and that in peace, and learn and be happy. Without each other, we would have been lost.
Professor, I think maybe each of us should take a minute by himself and say a little prayer of thanks, if he wants, and the way he wants.
Yes, Sergeant, I agree with you. We've plenty to be thankful for.
And then let's get down to the outskirts. That column of people is nearing the city gates now.
Right, Smith. But now, let us pray.